This episode of Built Different is brought to you by Spas and More. Visit spasandmorestl.com for more information.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Built Different podcast. I got a guest in studio with me. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Pat Byron. I was a captain on the fire department for almost 30 years.
Which fire department were you with?
I was in North County.
Okay.
I think they call it North County Fire and Rescue now. It was
Okay.
Riverview back in a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So you started what year?
I started in the fire department around 85.
Okay. And what academy did you go through back then?
I went through the St. Louis County Academy,
Okay.
but it was before we had an academy.
Okay.
We had went to, at that time, Metro West was called Baldwin.
Okay.
And we went to like their house three-way out there.
Yeah.
And it was big enough for us to have the 28 people or whatever's in the class.
Right. So did you go through, like, with a lot of people that you probably didn't end up working with? It was just...
Yeah, I ended up working with averaged, let's see here. I had 3 people from my class that I worked with quite a bit.
Okay.
We were together for almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the classes just dispersed all over the county.
You know, you have all that time on. How have things changed within that fire department to now, or firefighting in general?
Well, I can tell you this, and, you know, back when I got to start, we had the open cab trucks and all that, and now we got the enclosed cab. And one of the big things that have changed is the equipment. Obviously, the living conditions are way better now. There's a lot of things that they've evolved better with.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the county kind of grew all about the same time. So most things are starting to need to be replaced around the same time.
Right.
So there's a lot of new firehouses and fire trucks and some neat things. But one of the biggest things that have changed, when we started, we ran 300 calls a year. I just talked to guys yesterday, and those exact same trucks ran 6,000 last year.
I was going to ask you that, the call difference. That's crazy.
That is crazy
So
numbers.
how are they keeping up with manpower and stuff like that?
It's constant right now. And what you find out, and we, you know, the fire department, they're starting to make better money, and which is a good thing. And there's still departments that don't make the money others make.
Right.
And what you end up finding out is those departments, like in North County, the North Side, you know, you get a lot of guys that come in and get a lot of training quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you'll come in and you're going to be fighting fires probably your first shift.
Right.
And a lot of them are doing that. And then 3-4 years later, they go out somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, they try to go farther out west where it's a newer area, less calls. And some of us did that and some of us didn't.
Yeah.
And the guys that stayed and worked it all now are feeling those decisions, you know, a lot more fires, you're beat up, you're broken. There's a lot of more guys going out on disability.
Yeah.
And it's a constant rotation with some new guys at that bottom. And it's just the name of the game.
I think that's kind of the first responder worlds across the board. You see that a lot with the city police department, and I'm sure the fire department probably experiences it. And it's you're seeing a lot of young guys that come through and then are gone. So there's this big age gap in the middle of old guys waiting for that retirement, and then young guys that don't get 2-3 years on.
Yeah. And then what ends up happening is, like, up there, all of us started in those early, late 80s, and everybody's coming up for retirement now.
Yep.
And like you said, there's no middle gap on that training.
Carry the torch,
You're putting newer guys up before they need to be. And that could be probably dangerous.
Yeah. How will that look? With the structure, I guess, within a firehouse, you've got how does that structure work, I guess, before I get too far into it?
Well, pretty much everybody's on this 96-48 schedule now.
Okay.
And what that means is you go in for 48 hours
Mm-hmm.
and then you're off for 96 hours.
Okay.
So I would go in, let's just say this week, I worked Monday, Tuesday. So then I would be off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
Then I go back to work Sunday, Monday. And that actually, it started on the West Coast
Mm-hmm.
because it's so hard to get in traffic and get to places
Yep.
that they found it's the exact same amount of hours worked if you go to work for 48 instead of 24 off, 24 on.
Mm-hmm.
It works out better and less gas, less driving.
Yeah.
And that's how pretty much most of them work now. And they have 3 crews, A, B, and C.
Okay.
And each one of those crews could have 3 to 12 to, however
Mm-hmm.
many on that crew, depending on the engine houses.
And how has that changed since when you came on?
Now there's a lot of regulations and stuff called minimum manning, where you have to have 4 guys on a truck. And when I started, it could have been the driver and just the captain, 2 guys
Right.
going on a truck.
How did the hours work back then? Was it this?
It was 24 on, 24 off.
Okay. And that changed?
24 or 3 on, 4 off.
Okay. And when did that change?
Probably in the early 2000s.
Okay.
I think that's when it was.
Okay. And that's kind of adopted in the St. Louis region now? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, having
The
everyone kind
county
of the same.
anyway.
Yeah.
I think it does help all the way around with
Mhm.
sick days and things like that, that it's really been a big change.
So with this gap now that, probably exists as far as, I guess, the age gap, but experience gap, I mean, what would fix that? Do you have any ideas? I mean,
They always say money, wages, and maybe that's the answer. I don't know, but everybody always says money's a short time motivator.
right.
And, it's the conditions. And, when you're running that many calls,
It's a lot.
start dividing that out. How many calls it is per day. And, now you run EMS calls, anything happens in a house, what does somebody do? They call 911.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's a toilet breaks, it's, water leak, it's anything, they're going to call 911.
Right.
And the police department, fire department have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And those cost taxpayers a lot of money. Every time you're rolling a truck that costs $1 million
Mm-hmm.
to go for somebody needs a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
How do you stop that? The dispatchers don't know if they lost their finger or their arm or,
Mhm.
how bad it is. They're not going to judge.
Right.
We're going to keep running more calls.
Yeah. When did so medical calls didn't always used to be ran by the fire department, correct?
Yes, it was it had to be a pretty bad call. Like a lot of car wrecks, obviously, or CPR or, a large patient or something like that back in the day. And then that just went to automatically going with the ambulance.
Yeah.
And then they put ambulances in the firehouse,
Yeah.
so they were there with us. And
Yeah. I remember working in the city, you always, 9 times out of 10, if you were on a medical call, you always saw the fire truck pull it 1st and then the ambulance would come up. So,
yeah, because the ambulance is running all over town,
Mhm.
in and out of the ERs, and they got to catch up with us.
Yep.
And, police department, fire department could be sitting there for
Mm-hmm.
a few minutes waiting.
Yeah, waiting on an ambulance was always the worst part. You get to where you can, the fire department, you can't do anything else. So
Yeah.
you're just sitting there waiting, and if if they had a heart attack or whatever, and
Mhm.
everyone's sitting there yelling at you, and you're like,
Right.
what do you do?
Yeah. And now the trucks are becoming more advanced.
Yeah.
We're able to carry, medications and some things
Mhm.
on advanced pumpers, and you got paramedics on the fire trucks now.
Right.
So they're coming quick.
Yeah.
and they can stabilize sometimes and
Yeah.
wait for more equipment.
Right.
But a lot of times we can get there and stabilize them
Right.
before anything happens.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot has changed then with firefighting in general. You know, you're not just a firefighter anymore.
No, you're not. You're a firefighter. You're a medical person.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
a plumber. You're an
Oh, yeah.
electrician.
Oh yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
they expect you to know.
Yeah. With that, do you feel like, you know, the firefighters that are coming on now, do you think that they're becoming more versatile with it? They're kind of living with the times, or because I mean, not to say that whenever you came on, it was just firefighting, but you just learned one job. So I mean, are they teaching all of that in the academy? And
Yes, they do, and you know they keep up with what you need to know.
mm-hmm.
And personally, what I witnessed is, you know, between our ages and that, it seems like the older generation just knew more,
Yeah.
you know, about different things
Mm-hmm.
than the generations that's coming in now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they grew up differently. They were on the computers, you know, they
Yeah.
did, you know, a lot of things different.
Mm-hmm.
Where when we were younger, we messed with cars, we messed with this, we worked on houses, you know, you did a lot of
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
And you came into the job later.
Mm-hmm.
So most guys had a job
Right.
doing something, you know, and they knew how to do that.
Yeah.
Now, kids are coming in at 18, 19, you know, they get their EMT license in high school now and
Mm-hmm.
they go on to paramedic school and
Yeah.
boom, that's the first job they've ever had.
Yeah.
And they don't know much.
Right.
And there's a lot of teaching
A lot.
and they get frustrated, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But the little stuff that you know comes in handy.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them just don't know those little things, you know, little electrical outlets, things like that.
Yeah.
That they'll figure it out over time, but it's got to be hard in the beginning.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely can see where that's kind of a little bit of an issue, you know,
Mhm.
figuring that out. And people don't realize it all the time, but people will call 911 for anything.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Anything.
Yes.
I'm actually doing part-time dispatching in my hometown, and I had a lady call at like 2:00 in the morning the other day, and it was cold out. She had a busted faucet, you know, there's water spewing everywhere.
Yeah.
And we don't have a full-time fire department, you know, we don't have EMS or anything. So you send a cop out and he goes out there and he figures out how to shut the water off for her.
Right. Yeah.
It's just, and they will call for anything. But she's like, I don't know. I'm just going to sit here in a puddle of water until a plumber comes on.
Yeah.
Or
And
someone else comes help me.
you feel sorry for those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, like we carry the water tools to turn the water off at the street,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but sometimes that starts a whole nother problem for the people.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it's living classes too.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the lower income families seem to need us more.
Yes.
And they just need more, period.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was another kind of culture shock for me, you know, working in the city, living in the city, stuff like that. People just didn't, I just feel like growing up in a small town, you learned a little bit more, you know, you knew a little bit more. Like I knew how to jump start a car, stuff like that. And when I came on, like people didn't know that. Cops that I worked with, stuff like that.
Right.
So that was a big deal, you know, getting called those calls and
Right.
helping those people learn how to jump start their car or,
Yeah.
you know, and air up a tire,
Uh-huh.
you know, just that kind of stuff.
Yes. Because when we were kids, you had to do that to be able to drive something.
Yes.
Now the cars are so nice, these kids get them and they still run perfect.
Yep. That's exactly right. And yeah, it's becoming, all of the first responder world is becoming more than just that designated, you know.
Yes.
You know, police officers aren't just arresting people,
Yes.
stuff like that.
They're counselors.
Yep.
They're everything.
Many tools, you know, firefighters are now paramedics and stuff like that as well. So it's always going to be a growing world, but I think more so now than ever.
I would agree.
Which I think begs the question, you know, pay increases need to reflect that. And I think that some of the places are figuring that out, that
Mhm.
to retain people. But like you said, you can't keep people with just pay. It's a
Right.
short solution. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a growing issue.
It's got to be, because a lot of them are tax based,
Mm.
and you can only squeeze so much blood out of a turnip.
Right.
And
Right.
what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to service an area, but you don't have enough money to do it.
yeah.
What are those chiefs going to do?
Yeah. It's, yeah, I think that, I don't know if some departments will absorb other departments, and then I don't know.
That's happened.
Yeah, and I think even like you might even see something like that with the city police department, where county maybe comes in and polices sometime. I don't know, because they're even short. I don't know. I think you're gonna see a lot more in the St. Louis region of merging of departments.
Yeah.
Because it's just got to happen.
They talk about it all the time,
Mhm.
and I know that Riverview, which is North County,
Mm-hmm.
and Jennings molded together.
Really?
Yes. And as far as I know, that's still going well. And there was talk on others
Mm-hmm.
to do it, because those synergies start paying for themselves.
Yep.
Why do we have, 3 rescue boats all within 4 miles of each other?
Right.
And rescue boats $1 million. I don't
Yep.
know, there's $20,000.
Right.
Well, we could have saved 40
Yeah.
with just one. But
Absolutely.
I'm sure those are the type of decisions that are going to have to come up.
Yeah.
But then you have the government that will give them grants and all that for that equipment, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But can you man that equipment?
Yeah.
And then they give you manning for 6 months.
Yeah.
Then you decide.
I think it's always going to be a consistent problem, because even if, these areas envelop each other, you're going to get 20 years down the road, and it's going to probably be the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
because with, merging 2 places, you might have pay issues. You might have other things that will cause people to leave, benefits, and it will cause people to leave, and then you're back in the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
So running more calls.
And people, we kind of discussed it earlier, people really don't understand some of the neighborhoods and the areas that we have.
Yeah.
And some of them are pretty rough.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a point in time in my younger career where I remember that the Badenhouse Fire Department, and I think like Walnut Park and some of those areas, they weren't running calls without an officer to come, because we were in the midst of the summer and people were shooting and people were dropping like flies. So fire department, ambulance, and crews and stuff like that were waiting for an officer to come by and secure. Right. If it was a fire, like active fire, they're rolling right in. But there was other medical calls and stuff like that where they were waiting.
Stage, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was they were staging for a lot. Like they would always stage for a shooting, but there was like medical calls that they were staging for. If someone was having chest pain and stuff like that, they were waiting for an officer to come by and check everything out first. So it's
because of the area.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a dangerous area to be in. Yeah.
And there's no fireman that says they'd want to be a cop.
Yeah.
There's no cop says they want to be a fireman.
Yep.
It
Absolutely.
kind of happens that way.
It does. It's a crazy area up there.
It has changed, and I got to witness it. I spent my whole entire career in North County, and I was born and raised in Ferguson.
Yeah.
So I got to live and work through the Ferguson riots and everything else. And, and my old home is in the middle of that.
Yeah.
And they were looking for guys like us that know the streets and the areas over there for, running the calls because of the high priorities.
Yeah.
But, to see what it was like as a kid in Northland Shopping Center, where John Kennedy spoke there in '63, we had the same riots in that same parking lot.
Yeah.
How many years later?
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
It's I couldn't even imagine, I didn't grow up in that area or anything, but I always heard of the older residents of those neighborhoods that had bought their houses in the 50s and the 60s, and they bought it and they've got it paid off. It's paid off. They don't.
They're all brick, beautiful.
And they can't go anywhere because,
Yeah.
you know, they bought that house and they bought it in a good market at a good time. And it's a beautiful home, but it's surrounded by crime and chaos.
You have to go to the store.
Yep. It's crazy.
And it's just, and I don't know the answer why. You know, the neighborhoods just change. And I don't know how to stop that. But the police departments and fire departments are right on that.
Yeah.
That's what makes their lives.
Yeah. There's a lot of different I mean, the cities and all the surrounding places are always changing. You know, you had the tornadoes go through the city last year. And
Yes.
then, it destroyed a lot of like the Greaterville neighborhoods and stuff like that. And
Yeah. Those people are still on the street too, some of them, huh?
Yep. I actually just had a couple officers from that area on, and they were kind of talking about it. And, you know, there's a lot more, the homeless population has always been large in the city, but you're seeing a lot more just because of people that got stranded from their houses, you know, that had bought their houses years and years and years ago. And now they don't know what to do. So they're living on the streets.
Yeah. I would imagine some of those homes are legacy homes and,
Yes.
you know, go back how far?
Baden, the tornado obviously didn't hit Baden, but it might have a little bit of outline, but I think the majority of it was like the Greaterville neighborhood. But Baden is like, that was one of my favorite places to like police and just learning about all the historical roots and stuff down there, because there's a lot.
Yes. Big German fests and everything used to happen right down there on the streets.
Yep. It was cool to learn, you know, and going in some of these homes, they were beautiful. Like you said, old brick homes and stuff like that. So
yeah, even the businesses down there.
Yeah.
The old banks with all that granite and I mean marble.
Churches.
Holy Cross.
Yep.
Is, oh my gosh, is the most beautiful. I got married in Holy Cross actually.
Yeah. Very beautiful neighborhoods and stuff. So
big German descent. Oh, that was all Germans down there.
Yeah. So we've kind of talked about it a little bit before, but, you know, obviously you have some other things that you worked on as well, besides firefighting.
You know, the St. Louis area, the fire department, first responders, I don't know how to say that, but have some pretty good things that other areas don't have.
Yeah.
You know, we have the charities in St. Louis that help people that get killed in line of duty. And that's amazing for families, you know, that cushion. And then, you know, this whole time and thinking about that benefit. And then we started seeing guys like yourself that were shot. And they come back, they're fine, but they can't go back to their job.
Right.
What do you do with those people?
Yeah.
You know, and they get the benefit of whatever the department has, but they don't die in the line of duty, but now they can't work.
Yep.
So we tried to think of ways to help that. And where people that couldn't make ends meet and things like that, and they've exhausted all their resources, we had started a charity that we would help pay the people's bills. You know, if they got sick, injured, something like that, and, you know, wasn't work related, was work related. We don't get in the middle of work comp issues or anything like that. Just when all those resources are exhausted, we've helped people get re-educated. We've made house payments. We've, you know, bought washers and dryers. We've helped people with their finances. You know, we've gotten them tax people. Just kind of anything that we could help with, we did for close to 20 years. And it's very needed, but it's a full-time job.
Absolutely.
And, you know, if anybody thinks that it isn't, it is.
Yeah.
You know, the backstoppers, they work their butts off every day. You know, you're not just sitting around.
Yep.
And that's any charity or anything you do. to help the policemen or the firemen.
Mm-hmm.
And there's little niches like that we tried to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
And within those 20 years, we actually got to see a lot of those things get better.
Right.
Like they started realizing some of these things and started helping those people in different ways in their benefit packages. And it was really cool to see that change start to happen. And, charities have stepped up and given people, a one-time payment that can help them with some of their bills that we've never had before. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That you get people that volunteer their time to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like myself.
Mm-hmm.
It was nothing to do with me. It was the 20, 30 people that helped that charity do that for people.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see St. Louis like that because, you had charities where I came from back home, but there was like people that would pour everything into it.
Make sure you had everything at the hospital. Make sure your wife had anything she needed, your kids, your parents, whatever it needed. It's a very moving, fluid situation.
Yes.
And nobody's ever going to know what the next step is.
No, it's, it was very, it was, I got to see it firsthand. Obviously the backstoppers were there immediately. People from the police wives were there immediately. All of those organizations just kind of, and it's awesome to see. It's very, very much needed, It gives everyone a peace of mind, and especially firefighters, officers, stuff like that, to know that if something happened to them, their families are going to be taken care of.
And there's people that care.
Yes.
I can't tell you how much like the police wives, they know the city department well, and they kind of know what's going on. And we would like respond to rescue would coordinate with the police wives, backstoppers, and everybody would talk with each other.
Oh yeah.
And that's really cool to have in this town. And the whole thing is they're all needed.
Oh yeah.
They really are all needed.
Yep.
And there's only so much of a dollar that goes around town.
Absolutely.
And COVID and everything else has really damaged that.
Yeah. Yeah. Post-COVID is kind of, it's kind of messed everything up.
Yes.
Like you said, anything and everything, policing is different now. I'm sure firefighting is different. So it was definitely an impact on everything.
Well, and it's everything evolves. Like the police department, fire department. We never don't get new training.
Absolutely.
We're constantly evolving.
Yeah.
We're constantly training new. We're training on different situations, training on how to, touch a person, how to handle a situation that goes really bad.
Yep.
And they're going to have to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And it's always going to change.
Yeah. I remember I was younger, but they started having mental health people ride along with the officers.
Yes.
It wasn't well received at first.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, you're going to have this person who comes in and thinks they could do their job better. But then it got to the point where it was like, this isn't bad because we're getting rid of some of these calls. They're swamped, but we're getting rid of some of these calls and we can go do other things.
Yeah.
And people started to understand kind of like, well, this might work out.
So the mental health person would go on the call with you.
They usually assign them to a car with an officer in the city is how it kind of worked out. And if it was bad enough call, they would send them and have them stage kind of like ambulance or fire.
Yeah.
And they would send a 2-car officer over and kind of secure the situation and then bring them in and then they would kind of do their thing. So I remember it being a very big controversial topic at the time. And I was like, I could see this working out if it's ran the right way with anything.
Yeah.
And it kind of did. I feel like it lessened some of the other things,
Right.
They would get calls like, hey, I hear people talking to me and stuff like that. So they would go with the ambulance.
Oh,
and,
yes.
They would go and do that and handle that with the ambulance and stuff. So it definitely ate up some of our call volume, which was very helpful. But, things like those programs and stuff, they aren't always received well.
No. Yeah.
You get guys that are stuck in their way. And I even was kind of like, I don't know about
looking
this.
over your shoulder.
So,
And mental health is when you ask changes. And that's one of the biggest things I believe that it should start in the academy. And they should recommend everyone to have some sort of a therapist to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is really becoming part of our jobs. Mm-hmm. And with Responder Rescue, we went from, people being hurt and sick and all that, and it went into mental health.
Oh, yeah.
You kind of saw that stuff started being taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're getting all this mental health things that are going on,
mm-hmm.
and the suicide rates that just keep climbing.
Mm-hmm.
And, sitting across from a widow whose husband last week committed suicide in the firehouse, and sitting with her and finding out that they just don't have money.
Yeah.
They live in this big, beautiful home, brand new cars, the whole bit, just like you would dream about.
Yep.
Your perfect life. Well, the husband had so much debt and things on his mind and whatever else that could possibly be. I don't know. Well, they committed suicide.
Yeah.
And this poor lady's sitting there with all these bills and don't know what to do.
Yeah. No direction.
Yeah. And that's scary for anyone to think about that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I remember, mental health is a huge topic of mine now. But after my shooting, I remember the department obviously forces you to go see someone after that.
Yeah.
And that one didn't really stick. And then I saw another one, and she was okay. But I finally saw a third therapist, and she really helped me. And I found myself talking about. I don't think I really talked about the shooting at all.
Yeah.
I talked about stuff that I seen on the job before. I talked about bills, stuff like that, working through all of that. And
never yourself.
No. It was, I just realized how much of that aspect that was missing. You always hear about it, but you don't realize until you're in it.
Well, policemen and firemen, they started out very selfless.
Mm-hmm.
And that stays with you in many ways. And it's funny to hear you talk about that. Like, you don't talk about what you need, and things like that, where I can tell you need some things as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, we tried to make sure that we pull that out of people.
Right.
And the more that gets pulled out of people, I think we're saving lives.
Absolutely.
And there's times that, the pain, every day. And I've been injured like that. And I'm same thing, disabled my back.
Yeah.
And every day you just wish you could not have pain.
Yeah.
And some of these guys, that's their lives.
Yeah.
And to live with pain every day is not easy.
Yeah.
It's very hard. And if you don't have somebody talk to you about that, it'd be hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and like going back to the kind of what first responders act like, they don't always want to talk about it. They want to hide that. And almost sometimes embarrassed of stuff like that, and it's hard to see. And I hope that that's changing. I feel like it is a little bit,
Yeah.
But it's a never ending process.
I
think it will always be.
And we're very skeptical people.
Yes.
It just happens because of our jobs.
Absolutely.
We're problem solvers.
Yep.
We're only going to places because there's a problem.
Yep.
And that's how we run our lives, is we problem solve.
Yep.
And we don't problem solve for ourselves.
Right. Yes.
And it's not good. And I believe therapists are very well needed in this new environment.
Absolutely. It's definitely a growing industry, just for even outside of, the first responder world. Even you would come across calls where people were like, losing it, and you're like, this guy really needs someone to interject a little bit here. And So
Yeah.
whatever that may be, the cause, but it seems like mental health is a very big thing nowadays.
I could probably see larger departments actually bringing on someone so they learn our lives.
Yeah.
A lot of therapists, they don't know your life. They don't really understand it.
Yeah.
And if somebody that could understand our lives might be pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I've thought about that a fair amount of having setting up I've kind of started it with actually my old therapist. We've kind of she's started herself groups and stuff. So I've tried to be heavily involved with that hey, I'm the guy on the other side, you're here, you want to be here.
Yeah.
Let me help you get there. So,
and those group meetings, those support group meetings, we were fortunate that we had a pretty large office for 10 years, and we would have group meetings, or we would let people use our office boardroom to have a group meeting. Yeah. And it's their therapy to talk about their injuries. Yep. And it's good to let them all talk about it. Yep. So people don't have to hear about it all the time.
Absolutely.
And it's good.
Yeah. Here recently, the St. Louis City Police Department just started doing it, but I think even maybe the fire side is also doing it as well. But critical incidents, they've started doing day after action report type thing, but it's more like a who here needs help, type of thing.
Yeah.
I know the county's been doing it for a while, but after shootings and stuff like that, they get everyone together, sit down in the room. No one's allowed to leave until you get it out there. It's a mandatory thing, and I think it's working. So,
do you?
Yeah.
And it's got to be. There's shootings every day.
Yeah. Yep.
It's how important that person could be.
Yep. And I think it's across the board. I think it's a big thing. Yeah. I think that the fire department has started doing stuff like that as well. I think it kind of has started that way. So, and I think it's important. Critical incidents, you think that it's an everyday thing, but it's.
No, we had a couple departments that was on a pretty serious call. And the call ended up going okay. The patient was okay, but there was some controversy between the two departments.
Yeah.
Well, we had gotten called to maybe help.
Yeah.
And we had brought one of the doctors in, and we got those guys together and discussed what went on, what's going on here.
Right.
And then we actually got it all out.
Yeah.
And it was really nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It was just kind of misunderstood. But as soon as they knew that, it was click. They all were fine.
Yep.
But they didn't know how to get past that little hitch.
Yep.
And when they did, it was all good. But if they didn't do that, they'd have been pissed for this week, and who knows where that ended up happening.
It's so weird in the first responder world where everyone's great on scene, everyone's doing their own jobs, but then afterwards, the talking is it's not there always.
Yes.
I think that this is kind of one of those evolution things, but preparing, to get better. And I think that's one of the ways you get better is, you have the on scene and everyone did great. What can we do better? And I think that also, goes hand in hand with mental health and everything. So,
and there's always been that division, right? Police department, fire department.
Absolutely.
Boxing started out.
Absolutely.
Fire department, police department.
Yep.
And you always have that. In this newer day and age, they almost had to be blended.
Yeah.
I go back to the Ferguson PSO days. Those, the policemen were supposed to work as a policeman 8 hours and a fireman 8 hours.
Yep.
But when I say combining each other, melding together, is we know each other. We know your habits. We know what you do. We know on different calls if something comes up, you kind of know what we're going to do. We know what you're going to do.
Yep.
And I think some of that police and fire is going to have to start training together more. And
I think that at the very least we could start I don't know how it is out in the county per se, but in the city department's only on 8-hour shifts. But the fire department, I don't know what kind of
24.
shift. Yeah. So if they could find a way to make sure that those guys that are on those 24s working with the same police crew and stuff like that to do things better, and coincide, and because that in all reality, it's going to give the public a better service in the end.
Right.
And I think that there's a city that does that out in the county somewhere still, that they do. You're a cop for so long, you're a firefighter, and you're a medic for so long.
My gosh, what is that department right there? But yes, they do it.
Because I have a buddy that works out there, and he was telling me about it, and I'd never heard of it, and I was like, that's kind of a great idea.
Yeah.
Because, if you go to a fire call and someone gets out of hand, well,
lock them up.
Yep. You're already there. So I think that everyone's on the same page, I feel like.
Yeah.
I've never witnessed any of their actions, but I would find it hard to believe that they're not all on the same page. Like, hey, this is where we're taking that call.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know how that's worked out over there.
Yeah.
You hear rumors.
Right.
But to tell you facts, I wouldn't know.
Right.
But obviously that's been talked about.
Oh, yeah.
The PSO world, and it's all almost together.
Yeah.
It's almost like you should be able to go to both academies.
Right.
Where
absolutely.
you could lock people up, like you said, or something in some cases. But
like we've talked about a little bit, they've already merged the fire side kind of with the medics. You've got paramedics already riding on there, and it just seems like the natural flow of things that the first respond. I think other countries, I think there's a few. I'd have to do more research on it, but I think there's a few countries that are already kind of like that. It just makes sense. I mean,
it does, and the other side of it is the clients.
Yeah.
The clients love us.
Yeah.
I've been on scenes before where the guy's like, "Hey man, throw that gun out the car."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They won't say that to you.
Yep.
They don't mind us. We're not there to put them in jail. Most time we just look at them and go, "Hey, shut up. I'm here to help you."
Yeah.
And it works out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, locking one up in a fire department uniform would probably start all sorts of trouble.
Probably would. I think that at the very least, if everyone's on the same page, you're working with the same guys. And we kind of had that a little bit in the city. You're responding to calls and stuff all the time with the same ambulance crew and the same firehouse and stuff like that.
Some of the active shooter training where all the guys are together and, that's the crew.
Yep.
And I think
scenes just flow way better if everyone's on the same page, whether it's a fire call, the cops that are showing up are already going to helping you guys out, getting the family back, so you guys can do your jobs, making sure that cars aren't parked in the way and stuff like that. And, I always felt like the city, I don't know how it was in the county, but I feel like the city kind of were always on the same page once you got to working with the same crew.
Yeah. And with us, with mutual aid, running down in Baden and everything else, and the cops, I mean, we just got to know each other, like you said.
It's imperative,
Yeah. And a lot of the calls, we don't even have to go inside.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's just, mom wants to go to the hospital.
Yep.
They just sent us all.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, I guess wrapping up, I like to ask this question on my show. But if you were to give a young firefighter coming out of the academy a piece of advice, what would it be?
Listen twice as much as you talk.
Yeah.
Would be the big one.
Yep.
And pay attention.
Absolutely.
And your time will come.
Yep.
Just go with the flow.
Yep.
And understand everything going on. Blend in. Don't stand out right now.
Yeah.
When you're new.
Yeah.
And the job, I would never tell anyone not to take one of the jobs.
Yeah.
And you're probably like with your career, I had it taken away from me 10 years early.
Yeah.
And that really sucked. And you went through it and it sucked.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to go through it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a lot of advice given.
Mm-hmm.
And going backwards a little bit, you know, Tony
Mm-hmm.
coming around, we talk a lot. Well, in the professional sports world, the same thing happens.
Oh yeah.
Where today they're on top of the world, everything's going great, and they get hit by a car.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they had theirs taken away.
Right.
And a lot of therapists, doctors I talk to relate both of those to each other.
Absolutely.
It's almost like a professional athlete losing their job.
Yeah.
And that's what you're trained to be.
Mm-hmm.
A professional athlete is a police officer.
Yep.
And there's going to be times that you hate it, times that you love it, but you'll get through it and like it.
Absolutely. I think that's a great way to end it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having me.